I feel like something happens in my brain when I'm watching a movie musical and I'm just like, oh my God, they're going to sing again. They're going to do more singing. How many more times are they going to sing? How many more songs are there going to be? There's too much singing, even though I know it's a musical, but my brain's like, it's a movie. There shouldn't be so much singing.
Welcome back to the Book of Fantasy podcast. We, Addison and Lorraine, are two best friends who explore the world of fantasy through book shows and movies, but with a heavy emphasis on books. Today, we are presenting you with a little bonus episode for the recently released Wicked movie production. This was part one of a two-part movie that's coming out, and we thought it would just be a fun extra episode because we went to go see the movie. We enjoyed it a lot, and we just wanted to talk about it because it is still fantasy based, of course, and it was also very nostalgic. And if you've ever watched the Wicked theatrical production, it was a nice change of pace from that, and I liked the twist on it.
And I feel like we just say through book shows and movies all the time, and we don't really do any movies, so I think it's about time.
True.
I know our very first episode was Damsel, the movie Damsel, and if you guys feel like suffering, go listen to that episode. It's not that bad. It's just you guys have to know that was our very first podcast episode we ever recorded other than our intro. We had no idea what we were doing. I think we have tried to apply a deep dive format to the movie, which really, we were podcast babies. And now we're seasoned podcasters with like almost 70 episodes. So we thought we would give a movie another try. So hopefully it'll go a little better this time.
Yes, now that we've got our craft down a little bit better. But point being, this will not be like a huge deep dive in the way that we do books or anything. It's more just meant as our general thoughts about it, what we liked, what we didn't like, character discussion, what we thought the rating was, and just for fun. As a quick reminder, we will be discussing the recently released movie, Wicked Part 1, in its entirety. So if you have not watched it yet, then please pause here because there will be spoilers. Furthermore, we would like to remind everyone that this is an adult podcast where we will have explicit conversations, explicit language, or potentially triggering topics may be discussed, so please be mindful of that and adjust accordingly.
To clarify on the spoilers, I have seen the theatrical production of Wicked. It has been a very, very long time, so to be honest, I don't remember a lot. And I do want to clarify that we in this episode did not Google any spoilers or anything for Wicked Part 2. So even though I have seen the Broadway production, I don't remember anything that's going to happen. So there will be no spoilers for Wicked Part 2. So if you're worried about that, you're like, well, I saw Part 1. I don't want to know anything. I just want to be surprised when Part 2 comes out next year. Then this is a safe space for you because we don't know and we didn't look it up.
Yes, exactly. On to housekeeping. We just have a couple updates. So with the holidays upon us, we thought it'd be fun to release a holiday Ask Us Anything episode. So if you have any questions that you'd like to know, whether it's podcast related or just anything holiday themed, then please send us a text or an email. Or you can also DM us on social media. Our most active platforms are either TikTok or Instagram. Next, if you are enjoying the show, then the very best way for you to support us is to rate our podcast, a review, and share it with a friend. It has been such a treat to get reviews and texts from you all, and it always makes our day when we see them. So if you have not done so and you would like to, then please take a moment to put in a review. And now, without further ado, let's get into the movie, starting with an overview of Wicked.
So before we get started, we thought it would be good to do a little Wicked lesson. This most recent film adaptation is just the most recent milestone for this story. It's probably fair to say that most of us have seen The Wizard of Oz or at least have heard of it. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz was a children's novel written by L. Frank Baum in 1900. It was the first novel in the Oz book series and follows the classic tale of Dorothy, a Kansas farm girl, and chronicles her adventures in the land of Oz. Can I get a "there's no place like home"? Gregory Maguire was inspired by this series and wrote a novel titled Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West, which was published in 1995. Wicked, the musical, is based on Gregory Maguire's novel, and it premiered on Broadway in October 2003, and it was a smashing success. And as they say, the rest is history. Over 20 years later, here we are talking about the film adaptation of the Broadway show. Before we jump into talking about the movie, I want to give a disclaimer. Lorraine and I both enjoy musical theater, but it's not our thing. Everyone has a thing, okay? And it probably won't come as a surprise, but our thing is podcasting and deep diving fantasy books and shows and movies. I know a lot, and I do mean a lot of people are extraordinarily passionate about musical theater and Wicked specifically. So please take all of our thoughts and opinions about the movie and the performances with that in mind. We are not analyzing it from the perspective of someone with a background in musical theater. So don't come for us, okay? We are just average, everyday consumers of the movie and show. We have not seen Wicked a million times. I actually do know all the songs, but we're not those people. You know what I'm saying? And we love those people. We love your enthusiasm. I've loved seeing all the costumes and the viewing parties, and I love that for you guys. But I just know people can get really, really passionate about Wicked specifically. So I don't want people to be like, that's not right, or, whatever. So just love us, okay? We're just an average viewer, okay? We're idiots.
Yeah, I was going to say, I probably didn't notice even 20% of the things. Was probably somebody who has a background in theater or really enjoys musical theater would notice, okay? I was there for the ride. I love this movie. I was like, this is so great. I remember a lot of the events as similar to how they were in Wicked. I saw Wicked on Broadway when I was, I don't know, 12
Teenager
or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very young. So I don't remember a whole lot, but I really liked the movie. I really liked it in video form, and we'll talk about it more when we get to a section about that.
I think it's exciting that this has ignited a new interest in Wicked as a musical, and probably has gotten more people interested in musical theater in general. So,
yes, excellent point.
Before we talk about our likes and dislikes, we thought it'd be fun to point out some Easter eggs from the film that you may or may not have caught, and share some fun facts about the making of this film.
They actually planted a fair number of little things. They were often subtle. Some things were easier to see than others. There were many Easter eggs, but here are some of our favorite ones. At the very beginning scene, where the view pans over the field of rainbow flowers in the yellow brick road, you actually see Dorothy, the Tin Man, and the Lion and the Scarecrow walking together. It's very quick and it's very brief, but I thought that was fun, and I did remember seeing that one.
I was very mad when I read this because I totally and 100% missed that. I did not see it at all. I was very annoyed.
The next Easter egg was in the first scene when Glinda arrives to tell the town members the Wicked Witch is dead, and you actually can see a swirl pattern on the ground, and that is the same as the swirl in the center of Munchkinland when Dorothy first arrives in The Wizard of Oz.
I thought that Munchkinland looked a little familiar.
Yeah. And then the next one took place during the popular song sequence. Glinda hands Elphaba a pair of red glitzy heels. And as we know, those are the very iconic
ruby red slippers. Yeah.
Ruby
they're
red.
the slippers.
Yeah.
I am very proud of myself because this one I did catch, which is so funny because I remember from The Wizard of Oz, granted, it's a very fuzzy memory, but the Wicked Witch of the West specifically wanted those shoes from Dorothy. And of course, Glinda was the one who gave them to Dorothy. So it's just kind of a nice little tie-in there.
So the next one, Elphaba makes everyone fall asleep with the poppy flowers. And in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy falls asleep in a field of poppies.
I did catch this one also, so yay me.
And then another one was when Elphaba and Glinda meet the wizard, and he shows them a model of the city and the roads he was working on. He tells them that anyone who needed him could follow the road to get him. And that, of course, is an ode to the famous Follow the Yellow Brick Road song from The Wizard of Oz.
I absolutely love that part. I liked how they were trying to pick the color of the famous road, and they were like, purple, blue, and they're like, oh, yellow. Yes, yellow is the perfect color. So that was a fun little tie-in.
I know. That was really cute. Another one was when Elphaba and Glinda first try to escape the castle by hijacking a huge hot air balloon. This is what the wizard had used when he first arrived in Oz, was a hot air balloon. So that was a nice little tie-in with that.
Another one that I actually caught was when Madame, is it Morrible?
Morble, like horrible, but horrible.
Horrible. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
If we said that wrong, again, sorry. When Madame Morrible prevents Elphaba from getting soaked in the rain when they get the letter from the wizard, she says, "We mustn't let you get wet." And this is clearly a reference to the Wicked Witch of the West's fate. She dies after Dorothy throws a bucket of water over her. Another one that I thought was actually kind of funny is because when I first saw it, my first thought was, it's Simba from the live-action Lion King. And then I remembered this was not a Disney movie. The lion cub they bring into Dr. Dillamon's class, I believe, is supposed to be the cowardly lion from The Wizard of Oz. So I thought that was kind of neat.
Wait, I thought it was a leopard.
It was a lion cub.
Was it really? I thought it had spots.
Mm-mm.
It didn't? Oh,
no.
Why did I think it was a leopard cub this whole time?
I don't know. I'm like 99.99999% sure. No, I'm 100% sure. It's definitely a lion cub.
Okay. Oopsies.
And then the last fun fact is in the opening scene where you see apparently Dorothy and the Scarecrow and the Tin Man and the Lion walking, which I totally missed. They're walking through a very, very large field of tulips. And they actually planted 9 million colorful tulips in that rainbow pattern because they wanted to avoid using visual effects whenever possible, which is insane to me that they actually planted 9 million tulips for that scene.
I wonder how long that would take.
My God, a season, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love not using visual effects, but I'm like, how much did that cost versus how much would it have cost to CGI a nice field of rainbow flowers? You know?
True.
I don't know. I mean, I hope
and
they
also, what
donated
happened with the tulips afterwards?
I was talking to my husband about that. I bet that they then turned it into like you can pay and come pick the tulips or whatever when they were done with them.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I hope so. That's really cool. Okay. Next, we thought it'd be fun to just give our overall rating for the movie. So I honestly loved it. I thought the messaging, the themes, the casting, the whole set, and just all the visual graphics and audio was amazing. Personally, as somebody who, of course, is not very well versed in musical theater or anything, I would give it a 10 out of 10, especially considering the fact that, generally speaking, I will admit that I don't typically like musicals. It's just not always my favorite thing, but it could also mean I don't have enough background knowledge to know what makes a good musical. But overall, the story of Wicked really got me, and I thought everything was visually appealing. Everything flowed really well, and I was instantly hooked. I also, of course, really like the development of Elphaba and Glinda's friendship, and I like getting this little like history and background of how it developed. So
Lorraine is all about friendship. If you've listened to any of our other episodes on anything we've covered, Lorraine is all about the friendship. She loves that.
I love it. Yes, I love it a lot.
I too also love the movie. I thought they did a fantastic job staying true to the overall body of work. I thought the casting was especially exceptional. Truly, I don't think I would change any of the casting. And of course, most importantly, I thought the music was incredible. Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande were absolutely phenomenal. Factoring my own viewing experience and personal enjoyment, I would give it an 8.75 out of 10. And when we get to my dislikes, when we get to my dislike, you'll know what knocked off a 1.25 point because there was one part that I just, I got secondhand embarrassment from. I couldn't look past it.
Oh, wow.
I'm a harsh critic, guys. I'm a very harsh critic, okay?
Yeah. As you can see, I like mostly everything.
At the end of every book, you know, we do the wrap up. Lorraine's like, 5 out of 5. And I'm like, 3.79214 stars. Okay. Nothing will get 5 stars from me. Nothing. I guarantee it.
Tough crowd. So next, we thought it'd be fun to have a little discussion of the characters and just talk a little bit about the cast and how they performed. First off, I would like to say that I really loved all the characters. Everyone who was cast fit really perfectly, and they were also all so talented. I cannot imagine not only being an actor and actress in general, but also just learning all these new songs, learning all this choreography, timing it, just doing everything at once. It takes a lot of coordination and so much just brain power to think about so many different things at once. So I really commend all of them for just being able to do that in general.
Oh,
I also
absolutely.
thought The singing from Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo was simply astounding. They both just have next level voices, and I was completely mesmerized by their range and depth. Everyone else too, of course, but obviously they were some of our main singers and had a predominant amount of the singing to do, and I loved all of it. So great job. Great job to them.
Overall, my preferences for shows and movies lean towards a really strong ensemble cast. Of course, there's always going to be a main character too, but I loved the casting for this movie. I really thought they all performed incredibly and performed incredibly well with each other. So I thought they did an excellent job.
So to get into more specifics about each character, first we have Elphaba. I really loved her character. She was so fearless, compassionate, quietly dominating, and truly was an example of not letting her power get to her head. And I love that she ultimately recognizes and sees that she was being used, to do bad things and didn't want any part of it once she realized what was happening. I also love that she always consistently championed for everyone being treated fairly and how she has so much empathy for others, having been someone who experienced a lot of bullying for being different. With all that being said, the ruling class really did her so dirty in the end. I knew it was coming, but it still made me so mad for her.
I totally agree. Her character was very well developed from the get-go, and I like how they showed a little bit of her backstory. They could have easily omitted those scenes and just worked them into conversation, and I like that they actually showed them. Also, on another note about Elphaba's character, played by Cynthia Erivo, to be honest, I'd never heard of her until Wicked, and her voice is just breathtakingly phenomenal. And so I really hope that she gets a lot of success and opportunities from this part 1 and part 2. And so I'm really excited to see what else she does.
Next, we're going to talk a little bit about Glinda / Glinda.
Glinda.
Glinda. I also thought they did an excellent job with Glinda's character. Despite her being annoying and self-concerned, she was also really ambitious, unapologetically haughty, funny, and did grow to become more compassionate and outgrow the judgment of others. Even if we also know it took her time to realize that and was likely taking the friendship as an opportunity for herself as well. Overall, I don't necessarily like Glinda as just as a character. Okay.
What?
I grew to like her more with this background context, but also knowing how things unfold later. I don't know. But I will say, I think the nuance that they gave her really helps you appreciate her importance in the story and her influence on Elphaba. Obviously, she's known as Glinda the Good Witch, but you see this background and you're kind of like,
suspicious.
Girl, you weren't, not so good in the past, right?
Yeah.
So
I think what I love most about her is how self-assured she was. And she was not afraid to go for what she wanted. And I really like that. She wanted to get into Madame Morrible's sorcery class, or she wanted, the very handsome Fiero, and she fucking went for it, okay? Even if she maybe should have been a little more self-aware, she did not care. She went for what she wanted, and I respect that. And she was just so funny. I mean,
she was really funny, yeah.
And all her hair flips, and she was just
yes,
over the top. I loved her.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like that was an ode to Ariana Grande performing her character, because I was reading a lot of different thoughts from people on Reddit and just looking at what people were saying about it. And I remember people specifically pointing out that there are just certain things about the way that Ariana performed being Glinda, and also same with Cynthia and how she was Elphaba. They just brought a slightly different take or tone to the character that people found interesting. So the next character, Fiero, and Jonathan Bailey. When I say I was shocked he was in this, I am truly not kidding. I literally did not know he was going to be in this because honestly, the only cast members that I had really seen circulating around, because I also didn't look anything up beforehand, was Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater, because of the dating drama about him and Ariana Grande.
What? I have no idea what you're talking about. Who is Ethan Slater?
Slater was playing Bach
I still don't
Yeah,
know
there's
anything
some
about
like
the dating tea, but
there was some dating drama. It was all over TikTok and stuff for a little bit there. But anyways, I did really like Fiero's character. He gave, in my opinion, Dorian energy. He's like a charming, pretty boy prince, but he was also able to see past Elphaba's defensiveness and appreciate how unique she is. But in general, just Jonathan Bailey, ever since I saw him in Bridgerton, he sold himself as an actor to me. So I was very happy to see him in here.
I bet he did sell himself as an actor to you. So a lot of you guys probably recognize Jonathan Bailey from his role as Anthony Bridgerton from the very popular Netflix show Bridgerton. I was very wowed by his performance because I did not know that he could sing. I knew he could act, obviously, but I thought he did a really great job. I especially like the song he sang, Dancing Through Life, and I thought the choreography of that song was really good as well, especially all the work he did on the cool rotating bookshelves and all of that. That was really neat. Yeah, they cast him really well. That was good.
Yeah, I remember watching a video about how apparently during that major dance scene, that coincided with Bridgerton. So he was doing both of those things simultaneously. In the middle of Bridgerton, he like flew over, had to learn and do all this choreography stuff for this scene, and then go back to Bridgerton again. So I feel like that's just, it is really cool. And that would be so freaking hard to do.
Oh my God. Because you just had to know that took months to choreograph, teach, practice, and then actually perform. And they probably did a million takes of it. So that's insane.
The next character that I wanted to talk about was Nessa, Elphaba's younger sister. And I gotta be honest, and this is, again, none of these takes are about the actors or the actresses that played them. This is purely just the character. I found Nessa to be pretty annoying. I understand her desire to be independent, but she was blaming the wrong person for her circumstances. I did not like how she snapped at Elphaba and judged her just like the other kids, even though she is her sister and should understand Elphaba's circumstances more than anyone else. And I was like, what is your deal?
Yes, that's so funny because she's also my least favorite character. Again, absolutely nothing against the actress. I think it's just a result of how they wrote her character, but I found her very grating. Of all people, she's been with Elphaba from the beginning. She's seen how she's been treated and ostracized by her own father.
Yeah.
And she's still weirdly annoyed and jealous at Elphaba for getting so much attention, even though it's negative. And I'm like, girl, it's not her fault she was born green.
Yep.
It's like she's punishing her for that. It's just,
I know,
weird.
It was a weird relationship to witness. So anyways, next character, Madame Morrible. I also really liked her. I thought Michelle Yeoh played her really well. And while I didn't love her role, I could also appreciate Madame Morrible for her general character and how she helped progress the story and contribute to the plot as a whole. She's like a clever and kind of sly character, right? She's kind of two-faced, playing Elphaba and then really being a baddie bad behind the scenes. So
yeah, when I saw her, it's funny because I actually know her from the movie Crazy Rich Asians, which I don't know if you've ever seen. She plays Nick Young's mom, the main male lead's mother. And I actually thought she played a very similar role across both movies. She kind of is the same character. So I thought that was kind of a funny parallel.
Oh, I had forgotten about that. And then our last character that we wanted to talk about was Dr. Dillamond. I really loved his character. And I especially liked that he didn't hide the truth and saw Elphaba for who she was as well. And fun fact, if you didn't know, he was played by Peter Dinklage, who was very well known from being in the Game of Thrones series. So I didn't have any idea before I was looking up cast members for our outline here. And I was very excited to learn that.
Yeah. I recognized his voice immediately. I was like, it's Tyrion Lannister, which is funny because he's a goat. He's a literal goat. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of funny. But I thought he did a good job. So Lorien, I have to ask, who was your favorite character from this movie?
Ooh. I think I really loved Elphaba, of course. I just love her story.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say Elphaba. You want to guess who my favorite is?
I feel like it was probably Glinda.
Duh, obviously. Oh my gosh. I love pink. I am wearing pink. She is just hilarious and fabulous to me. And I don't know, I loved her. I will say, besides one of the main characters, I really, really enjoyed all of the scenes with Glinda's sidekicks, the guy and the girl. I don't remember their names. I don't remember their names ever being said. But her little posse that follows her around, I thought they were hilarious.
Yes, she had a lot of really good singing scenes and everything too. And I really loved all the sequences. They were just so fun to watch. And they're just so Glinda coded when it, like all her hair flips and everything. But that does not surprise me, Addison, that your favorite was Glinda.
Yep. I knew you were going to say Elphaba. I knew it. I was like, she's Elphaba girl through and through.
Yes, I am. Next, we wanted to talk about our likes and dislikes. So, Addison, go for it.
Before we get started, I have two overarching thoughts. And if you listen to our TOG episodes, you know that I always have to throw in some overarching thoughts. I want to talk about the length of the movie. This movie was incredibly long. The runtime was 2 hours and 40 minutes, which is kind of insane for a movie that is split into two parts. And the musical itself is only about 2 hours and 45 minutes with an intermission. So, yeah. Because of the runtime, I was expecting it to drag a little, but I thought they actually did a good job at pacing it. It really didn't feel like it was dragging. It moved along pretty nicely. For me, the only part that was a little long was when they go to the Ozdas ballroom and did their dancing scene. That could have been shortened a little bit. I have some thoughts. That scene is part of why I knocked off some of my rating points, because I found that scene a little grating for a few reasons.
That one scene alone contributed to 1.25 points.
No, there were a couple things, but that one was probably responsible for like 0.75 because it was a little cringy. Okay, we'll talk about when we get there. But a second, you guys are going to laugh, but I know it was a musical. Okay, I knew it was a musical. I went to see it. And I've enjoyed the actual Broadway production of this show. And of all the movie adaptations of musicals I have ever seen, I've seen a couple. Like Rent, Dear Evan Hansen. I've seen a couple. This is the one I know and like the most songs of any of them. So I like the music a lot. But I feel like something happens in my brain when I'm watching a movie musical and I'm just like, oh my God, they're going to sing again. They're going to do more singing. How many more times are they going to sing? How many more songs are there going to be? There's too much singing, even though I know it's a musical. But my brain's like, it's a movie. There shouldn't be so much singing, especially in the beginning. I'm like, can we just have a conversation? That was mostly only in the beginning. I don't know why my brain does that. And I'm like, Addison, it's a musical. It's a musical.
Yeah, I think that's funny that you say that because I actually wasn't bothered by how much singing there was. I really liked it. And maybe it is because I am familiar with the Wicked songs pretty well. I've heard them a lot over and over. And again, as somebody who traditionally does not typically go for musicals, it was like a nice surprise for me to be like, oh, I really liked all of it. Maybe I've grown and changed as a person and now I'm a musical person. I don't know. But to get into my likes and dislikes, again, really loved this movie. I felt like it was a really good adaptation of the classic musical. I thought the placement of musical scenes was balanced well within the story and the plot. The characters were fantastic. The visual effects, the settings, costumes, everything was just portrayed so well. I really don't have much else to add about that. I thought it was really well done. And I never found myself questioning, any scenes or parts or feeling like anything dragged on too long. 2 hours and 40 minutes like flew by for me. I was very surprised. I would also like to give a major props to the actors for not only just regular acting, as I said a little bit earlier, but also just being able to coordinate the singing and the dancing for like half of a movie. Right. To do all of that at once is crazy. I actually have a background in synchronized swimming, if anybody knows what that is. And
it's an Olympic sport. I think people know what it is.
It's not super popular. Maybe I'm a little
fair.
Jaded from my time where it wasn't super popular when I was swimming. But anyways, it just reminds me of that. And I know how difficult it is just to learn new routines and perform them. And it takes a lot of coordination, right? But that's without even singing and having to think about what I'm saying or anything, which just adds another layer of complexity. So I really cannot imagine how much training and coordination and stamina it takes to do all of that. So
the stamina for sure. For sure.
And those musical scenes were long. Like these
They were long.
huge productions. So many moving things going on. And so, yeah, it was crazy. Finally, I also just think having this movie form brought a lot of depth that I think is hard to see or get when you are watching it as a theater performance. I personally really love being able to closely see character expressions. I like being able to see their shifts in body posture or tone because it really helps you get a much deeper feel for what a character is thinking or feeling. And as an audience watching it in a movie form where things are so close and accessible to you, you get to see all of that. And I think it's hard to pick up some of those more subtle things when you're watching it as like a theatrical production.
Yeah.
You know, I feel the same way about music too. I actually really enjoy just music in its studio recorded format where I can just plug it right into my ears. I really haven't been to that many concerts where I thought a concert's performance of the music was more enjoyable to me than listening to music directly.
That's funny. No, I feel the same way about concerts, actually. I always talk myself into going to a concert. And I'm like, why did I do this? It's loud. It's expensive. I have to stand up. I just want to sit down, hear the music. It's not that it's not as good. It's just so different from a studio experience. And the studio experience is really honed. That's funny because I feel the same way about concerts.
Oh, good. I know.
Oh, thank God.
Like a lot of people...
I don't want you to ask me to go to a concert with you because I'll be like, oh.
No, I've learned. I used to try to convince myself that
you want to do
concert
it.
Would be you want to do it because a lot of people do really enjoy that experience. And obviously, if you do enjoy that, like, great, go for it. Do that. But for me, I just have never found a concert experience where I like listening to the music and stuff better in that setting than I do just.
And they're so expensive. I know some of my family members went to see Olivia Rodrigo. I think they paid like $7.50 each for a ticket. And they were like good seats, but they weren't like good seats. I mean, think about Taylor Swift. Now, I will say, okay, we're just only on tangent here. I do feel like I would love to see the Eras tour because that's a show. You know what I mean? That's not just a concert. Because like when you say concert, I think of some people getting up there, playing the instruments, singing the song. I feel like what Taylor Swift puts on is a production. And that is a very different experience. But other than that, concerts, I want to, but I just don't.
Yeah. I agree.
I'm just going to keep dancing through life with my headphones on. Okay.
Fair enough. Same.
One of the things that I really loved about this film overall was the incredible on-screen chemistry that Cynthia and Ariana have. I really felt that it helped bring the characters to life and made them relatable in a lot of ways. I feel like this really shined through when they sang, "What is this feeling?" That whole sequence of them in the room writing the letters to their parents was just hysterical. They were like, I mean, I guess they were really bullying each other, but stacking things on top of each other and putting stuff outside. And I thought that was like one of my favorite scenes. I was just cackling and it was so cute and they just have great chemistry. Something else that I really liked that we absolutely have to discuss is Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth's cameo. I absolutely love that they did that. I did not know that they were going to do that, so that was especially fun to experience in theater. For those of you who might not have recognized them, Idina Menzel played the OG Elphaba, and Kristen Chenoweth played the OG Glinda on Broadway. So they appear in the scene when Glinda and Elphaba go to the Emerald City, and they're watching that little play about how the wizard came and how the Emerald City was created. And those two ladies pop out. And they're playing like the most important magical ancestor or something. I don't even remember what they called them. And they're sort of jabbing each other and stuff. And so that's a call to their original performances and the Broadway musical. So that was really nice that they brought them in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, my last absolute like that we just can't skip over is we have to talk about Defying Gravity, which is what I think is probably one of the most popular Broadway songs of all time, not just in this show, but of all time. I think even the most non-musical, non-Broadway person probably has heard Defying Gravity. I just was blown away. It was incredible. I didn't actually think anybody else had the lungs to pull off Defying Gravity because it's not just the range of notes, but it's, forgive me, I can't really think of the word. It's the oomph, like the oomph that you bring to it. And I just thought the singing, the choreography, the cinematography, it truly was just chef's kiss. It was so good. It just blew me away.
It was really good. It was a really satisfying way to end part 1 of B2. I felt like I think it wrapped it up really well. Yeah. So moving on to some dislikes.
Lorraine has none because she just loved everything.
I actually did have some dislikes.
You
guys.
did? What? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me hear them. I actually didn't read these because I didn't want to color my own.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I do wish we had gotten more time to see them as friends together. You kind of have the dance scene and then things just happened really quickly. And then they had to separate shortly after because of Emerald City and Defying Gravity and that whole situation. I wish we had spent more time seeing them truly be friends and be on the same side before they had to split. In addition, these are not critiques of the characters or anything about how the movie was produced. They're just general story related things. The reveal that Elphaba's father had forced her mother to chew milk flour and that had resulted in her sister Nessa being born early without use of her legs was really freaking sad. And it just made me really mad. It was so annoying and I hate him. I was like, you're the freaking worst.
You know, when you think about it, he's
ever.
like kind of one of the top villains. You know, the dad and then the wizard at Metamorphle. Because he was awful to Elphaba. I mean, he was awful.
No, literally so terrible. Ugh.
Your dislikes are so funny. They're so different from mine. Okay.
And yeah, that's all I had. So
man, you can really see our personality differences shine through right here. This is so fun. Oh my God. I love this. I'm excited for Ask Us Anything. Guys, please send us some questions and just anything you want to know. Because even though I feel like I spend so much time with Lorraine, I feel like I'm still learning things about her all the time. So
yeah,
it'll just be so fun. So in a couple of Glinda's songs, mostly in the beginning scene, when she visits Munchkinland, I thought some of her songs were a little too operatic. I did not enjoy that for whatever reason. Her voice is, of course, lovely. I just didn't enjoy that from a creative choice perspective. And when I say operatic, I mean like the, whatever. You know what I'm talking about? There was a lot of that. And that didn't do it for me.
That's fair, yeah.
I also, this is a big one for me. I did not love the Ozdust ballroom scene. I thought it was cringy. I got secondhand embarrassment from it. And I know that in its essence, a little bit, it's supposed to be that way. But it just went on for a really long time. She came in, people are laughing, she sat her hat down, and then she does this very strange, drawn-out, bizarre dance. And then she picks the hat back up and puts it on. Get why that seems necessary, but I feel like they could have done it in a different way that was not quite so long and also cringy. I don't know. It was weird. It was so weird. What is Elphaba doing? What is she doing? I did not like it.
Okay, I do have a question for you, if you can remember.
Okay.
Is that a new scene? Was that a scene that existed in the musical? And was it done in that way?
I know they go to the Ozdust ballroom. I don't remember it being a dance thing. I remember her getting the wand, but people are laughing at her because of the hat. And then she tries to defend her. So I don't remember if the dancing part is part of the original show. That may be an element they added. I want to say no, but again, it's been a hot minute, but I did not like it.
Yeah, I will agree with the secondhand embarrassment. It was a little hard to watch because it was so awkward.
Well, and then even when they were doing it together, I still didn't think it was sweet. I still thought it was cringy.
I think it was also because it was silent. There wasn't any music playing either. And so
it was very slow. Like the movements were just like 1, 2, 3. Like I feel awkward even just pausing as I'm saying it, like it's just weird.
Yeah.
So, and then my last dislike, I didn't love when Fiyero and Elphaba go to save the lion cub and they're in the forest and they have this little heartfelt moment. And then he's like, oh, I'm going to go take care of the lion cub. And then she starts singing, I'm Not That Girl. And then all of a sudden they're back at school and several days have passed. I just thought it was a kind of weird transition because where you left off, they're both in the forest. He runs off with the cub, and then all of a sudden she's sitting on a bench singing about how much she wants Fiyero. And it's just a little bit of a weird transition for me.
That's fair. If they had continued passing and showing both of them going to the school,
yes,
it probably would have made more sense. But yeah, you're right. It was a little bit of an odd transition to just be in the forest and then suddenly, back in school and didn't see how they got there.
Yes. And I feel like it's a missed opportunity to show Fiyero even just kind of looking contemplative, thinking about that interaction, right? Because it isn't until they're at the train station that Glinda's like, he's acting kind of weird. And then he's like, I think about that day all the time. And you're like, oh, okay. So
Yeah.
these are very minute, small things, right? In the grand scheme of things, it's great. But if I'm being nitpicky. So other than that.
Fair. All right. So that wraps up the likes and dislikes sections. And now we have a couple outstanding questions to ask.
Yes. Remember, we did not look any spoilers for how it ends or what will be in part 2. So who do you think wrote the mean words on Dr. Dillamond's blackboard?
I think it was somebody either related to Madame Morrible or even the wizard, because they're really the only people that had any incentive to be trying to get rid of the animals. I don't think any of the students would have done something like that because the students didn't even really know what was going on.
I thought it was Morrible. It makes the most sense. She's already on campus. She clearly hates the animals for whatever reason. So that leads me to my second question is, I really don't remember this. Why does the wizard want to eliminate all the animals? What's his beef with them? Why doesn't he want them to talk? Why is he not okay with them?
I actually don't know. I don't really remember that either.
Okay. I didn't Google it because, I don't know spoilers, but I could not figure out what their reasoning was, why that was such an issue for them. I thought that was kind of bizarre.
I wonder if it's just a control thing. For whatever reason, they view the animals as a threat, or they believe that animals, I guess, shouldn't be able to learn magic and speak and communicate with humans. I don't know.
I don't know either. And last but not least, we have to ask the ultimate question. Just don't think about it. Just gut reaction. Who sang it better, Cynthia or Idina?
Cynthia.
Same. I was going to say Cynthia. All right. Kristen or Ariana?
Ariana.
For me, it's a tie. I'd say on most of the songs, probably Kristen, but popular, God, it's so close. I don't know. I can't pick. I listened to both of them back to back and I'm like, they're so good. But I did like Cynthia's version of Defying Gravity better than Idina's. Don't get me wrong. Idina is a queen. She's a powerhouse, but
yeah,
I did like a little more modern take on it.
All right. So last but not least, we just have 2 more sections. So our second to last one is our favorite moments. One of my first favorite moments was when Elphaba puts everyone to sleep with the poppy flowers, and then her and Fiyero release the lion cub back to the wild.
I see you wrote leopard cub.
I know, because I genuinely thought it was a leopard. I thought it had spots. I feel like I need to double check this because I feel like I'm having the Mandela effect or something right now where I'm thinking that I'm remembering it one way, but it was not that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then my next favorite scene, I actually did like the dance scene. Obviously, we just talked about how awkward it was, but I liked the symbolism of it. So I like that despite Elphaba always portraying strength and having a disregard for what people think of her, Glinda is able to see that she does actually care very deeply about what people think about her. And it's a huge part of why Elphaba is how she is. But I think we all have insecurities. And as we grow older, we just get better at hiding them or caring less about them. But deep down, we still live with those insecurities every day. And then, of course, I also like that Elphaba and Glinda become friends after that. Even though I think this side of the Wicked story didn't necessarily near me to Glinda by any means, but it was nice to see their relationship transform. I also like the scene after the popular song sequence when Elphaba remembers the hair flick and she goes outside. She tries to practice it, and then Fiyero catches her doing it outside.
And he's like, "You've been Glindified," or something like that. Yes.
Yep.
It was so great because it's such a distinct, I can't even do it. It's so funny.
I know. I love it. I also like the sequence when they are running from the flying monkeys in the Emerald City Castle, mostly just because it was just thrilling. Because you're like, oh my gosh, the monkeys, they're running after them. What's going to happen? And then my last one was the ending sequence where Elphaba falls from the building and she reaches out her hand to her younger self. And that becomes the power that she needs to get her broom working and unlock the next level of her power.
You're right. That is a great scene. You're totally right. Yeah.
And the message I took away from it was that she was remembering who she was as a young girl and didn't want to fail her in her adult life. And she was able to break through to the next level by accepting who she is and not letting others' opinions and lies break her or define her.
Oh, you're such a thoughtful person. I'm like, ooh, Glinda had pretty costumes, like over here shallow as hell.
They're not shallow.
So I thought it was especially funny when Elphaba first comes to school, and as Glinda and her sidekicks are walking away, you hear him say, I don't know, I don't see color.
Oh, yeah.
That was really funny. That was a nice little throw in. I also especially loved Ariana's portrayal of Glinda, and I thought she did a really good job. And I was impressed since I don't really think of her as an actress. When you say Ariana Grande, I, of course, think about her very successful musical career, but I don't ever think, oh, yes, she's a great actor, too. And she did a really good job. I was really impressed. I would definitely see something else that she was in.
Yeah.
Based off this performance. And then another one of my favorite moments is when they're singing the song, What Is This Feeling? Just that whole sequence of them in the room writing the letters. It was really funny and well done. I thought it was just choreographed really well. And then last but not least, I just loved the popular performance. I loved everything about it. I've always loved the lyric when she's talking about celebrated heads of state or especially great communicators. And she's like, did they have brains or knowledge? Don't make me laugh. They were popular. I remember even when I was in high school and I would sing that song. I just always thought that part was really funny. So I just thought that whole performance was really good.
Yes. All right. So now that brings us to our last little section of this episode. We're going to play a little Rotten Tomatoes guessing game. Addison and I are both going to give what we think the Rotten Tomatoes score was. And then after that, we'll reveal what the true score was.
We'll share what we think the critic score is and what the audience score is as well. So, Lorraine, what do you think that the critic score is for this movie?
I put 8.7 because honestly, even the best movies just don't get above 9 for whatever reason. I feel like critics are just going to critic.
It's in percentages. So do you mean 87%?
Yes, 87%.
Okay.
8.7 out of 10, 87%.
Okay, it's
sure.
the same.
Yes,
okay.
yes. Yeah.
I put 89%. I very similarly, people always have something to complain about. And because it's such a popular and beloved body of work, I thought people would be really nitpicky. So let's see.
Okay.
The current audience score for this film is 89%.
Wow. You guessed it.
Oh, wow.
You're right on the money.
I know. We were, 2% away. So we were both pretty right. Okay. And then what percent do you think the audience score is?
I would say 95%.
95? Okay. I said 97. So let's see. The audience score is 96. We split the difference.
Right in the middle.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. And now that concludes our episode. So thank you all for joining us for another episode of the Booked on Fantasy podcast. As always, we are so glad that you found us. So please leave us a review, subscribe to the podcast, and check out our social media pages to keep up with us on a daily basis. That's all we've got for you guys today. So stay nerdy.
Thank you for your support of our podcast and helping us make it more popular.
We'll catch you all next week for our usual book episodes. Bye.
Bye. And stay tuned for some bloopers. I chickened out. I thought I was going to do a bear.
Oh, no, you have to do it.
Okay, are you ready?
Do it.
Okay,
Should I do mine after?
Yeah, okay. That'll make me feel better. Okay, I would do it on mute because I don't want to embarrass myself.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to turn my video off for a second. Okay, I'm ready. I'm telling you, it's really good. You're going to be amazed. Okay.
Wait, I don't know what I was expecting, but that was really good.
I told you I can do a really good witch laugh.
That was such a legit witch laugh. Oh my god. You want to hear mine?
Yeah.
I'm going to sound like shit compared to
You're
that.
You're going to be like,
okay. Yeah, that's literally what I was going to do.
Okay.
Wait, I'm trying to breathe. I'm trying to breathe correctly for how to do this. Okay. Wait, I can't do it. Yeah,
Like
why are you so good at that? Yeah. I think that's gonna get. That was really good though. Thanks for doing that.
I don't have many talents, but I can do a great witch laugh.
10 out of 10.
So before we get started, we thought it would be good to do a little. We thought it would be good to do
Oops, I just realized that you had something to say before we get.
No, it was just an intro. It was just an intro.
Okay, should I just?
Oh, I don't know. And then she just like picks the hat on. She picks the hat back up and puts it on. Wait. Okay. When you say Ariana Grande.
Okay, I think I can still tell what I did. Anyways.
Yeah, what did you do? Here, hit back.
Oh.
There you go. Why are we so bad at this? What is wrong with us?
I don't know.